The night was loud with laughter, expensive wine, bright lights, and rich people filled the ballroom. I was only a waiter, walking quietly between tables, holding trays no one cared about. To them, I didn't matter. Then I heard her voice. Rachel Whitmore, the millionaire's daughter. She was beautiful, dressed in diamonds, with every eye on her. Her laugh cut through the air like a knife. She looked at me and smirked, tilting her head toward the grand piano in the middle of the room. "Hey, waiter," she said, loud enough for the whole party to hear. "If you can play this piano, I'll marry you." The crowd exploded with laughter. Some nearly spilled their drinks. Others clapped like it was the funniest thing they'd heard all night. To them, I was a joke, a black waiter, standing next to a grand Steinway piano I didn't belong near. I stood still, my chest tight. But deep inside, I knew something they didn't. Because that piano wasn't strange to me, it was my life. I had been playing since I was 5. My father was Ethan Miles, one of the greatest pianists in America. My mother was a music teacher. My younger sister studied violin. Music wasn't just in our home, it was our language. But I wasn't the son my father was proud of. I loved music, yes, but I didn't love his way of living. I didn't want fame. I didn't want to be forced into competitions, tours, and interviews. I wanted to play freely, to let the music breathe. My father called me ungrateful. My family called me rebellious. So I walked away. Now I was here, working nights as a waiter, earning just enough to survive. People saw a poor young man in a white shirt carrying glasses. They never guessed who I really was. And that night, Rachel Whitmore turned me into a joke in front of hundreds. The room buzzed with whispers. Is he really going to try? This will be hilarious. Rachel's got him good. Rachel leaned back in her chair, swirling her wine. Well, don't just stand there, she teased. Show us what you've got. Her friends laughed even harder. Something in me broke and healed at the same time. I walked to the piano. The crowd grew quiet. People leaned closer, waiting for me to embarrass myself. Rachel smirked, sure she had one. I sat down, touched the keys, and began to play. At first, soft notes, gentle, almost shy, then stronger, then powerful. My fingers moved faster, each sound carrying years of pain, rejection, and love for the one thing that never left me: music. The laughter stopped. Forks froze halfway to mouths. The smirks disappeared. The music filled the room like air, wrapping itself around every heart. It wasn't just notes, it was a story, my story. Every key said, "You don't know me. You don't know my journey. But you will hear me tonight." I played like a man who had nothing to prove, but everything to release. By the time I struck the last note, you could have heard a pin drop. The silence was heavy, sacred. And then I saw them. My family. They had been invited. Of course, they belonged to this world of money and music. I hadn't even noticed them earlier. But now, their faces were clear. My mother's eyes shone with tears. My younger sister held her chest, trembling. And my father, Ethan Miles, the man who told me I would never succeed, without him, had tears rolling freely down his face. "That's my son," he whispered, his voice shaking. The crowd gasped, heads turned. Whispers flew across the room. "That's Ethan Miles's son? No way." The waiter. Rachel's face turned pale. Her smirk was gone, replaced with shame. She looked at the floor, her diamonds suddenly meaningless. She stood up slowly, her voice cracking. I didn't know," she stammered. "I shouldn't have, I'm sorry." But her apology meant nothing to me, because for the first time in years, my family saw me, not as a disappointment, not as a mistake, but as myself. I closed the piano lid gently and stood. The entire ballroom rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, shouting my name. But I didn't need their applause. I didn't need Rachel's apology. And I didn't even need my father's tears. Because in that moment, I knew the truth. I had always been enough. Later that night, as the guests drifted away, my father approached me. His voice was soft, unsure. "Son," he said, I was wrong." I looked at him, the man I had once wanted approval from more than anything. But I didn't feel anger anymore, just peace. "Dad," I said quietly, "you don't have to say anything. The music already said it all." My mother hugged me, crying. My sister held my hand, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the outcast. I felt like me. Rachel never forgot that night. People talked about it for weeks, how the rich girl mocked a waiter, only to discover he was the son of greatness. She carried that shame with her, and maybe, in some way, it changed her. But for me, that night was not about revenge or humiliation. It was about freedom. Because music had given me back my voice. It had shown everyone what I already knew deep inside: money and status don't define worth. Diamonds fade, fame fades. But truth lasts. And my truth was in the music. That night, I didn't just play the piano. I played my soul. And the world finally listened.